So today I want to talk about why you should only focus on what you can control, and the things that you can't control, just let them be, and just focus on what you can control, because there are so many negative things, not just in football but in life in general, that are gonna happen to you. Not everything's gonna be sunshine and rainbows. Negative things are gonna happen that are simply out of your control, that you can't really do anything about. So literally just focus on what you can control. Now let's take football as an example. Literally think about how many external factors can happen in football that can negatively impact your game. Maybe you turn up that day and the weather's bad, the pitch is just horrible. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit there and complain. You're gonna be like, oh, it's raining, why is it raining, blah blah blah, I wish it wasn't raining. No, you can't just sit there and complain. You just have to deal with it. Just adapt. Literally just say to yourself, all right, cool, it's raining, can't play around with it at the back. Anytime we get the ball at the back, we have to get rid, take less touches on the ball, win your individual battles, because ultimately you're not really going to be able to play football on that surface. Another example, let's say you get injured. You can't just dwell on the fact that you can't get injured. You can't have the mentality of, why does it have to be me? Why is it always me? Why did it have to be me that has to get injured? You just have to sort of just move on and focus on what you can control. And what you can control that situation is how you go about your rehab. Are you going to take your rehab seriously, or are you sort of going to be lackadaisical about it? Are you just sort of going to bullshit your rehab, and then when you come back, you're not 100%, you're maybe at 75% because you didn't take your rehab seriously. So you literally just have to focus on the things that you could control, because like I said, there's so many things that are out of your control, that if you focus on when you focus on what you can't control, your mind's just gonna be filled up with too many things. So literally just focus on what you can control on the pitch, on the pitch, and off the pitch as well. As a footballer on the pitch, you can't control if you're gonna have a good game today, because there's so many, like I said, there's so many different factors. Maybe your pass is just off that day. Maybe the other team's players are just playing a great game that day. Everyone on their team just putting up 9 out of 10 performances, 10 out of 10 performances. But what you can control is your effort, is your determination. Putting in that effort, just the little things, running back for your team, jumping up for headers, just the basics of football. If you're a defender, just make sure you're looking across your line. Make sure you step up when you need to step up. Just them basic things that you can always control. No, let's say you're a fullback, you're 1v1 defending. This is just the basics, because you might not have a great game. Your crossing might be off, your striker might be missing chances, but literally you can't even worry about that. Just focus on the fundamentals that you can control. So what I'm saying is that you have to always be solutions based. If there's a problem, don't just sit there and moan and complain to someone, because let's be honest, nobody likes a complainer. Nobody likes someone who's just negative, because they just bring the whole mood of the team down and everything. Like, you have to be solutions based. And to be honest, if you're just there sitting there complaining, that's a very feminine mindset. You just have to sort of just be always solutions based. If something bad happens, just your mind just needs to go to, all right, cool, how do I fix it? What can we do to work around this? What can we do to adapt? What can we do to solve this problem? You know what I'm saying? Don't just be that guy who just sits there, complains, and then doesn't come up with a solution. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, everything's bad. There's nothing we can do about it. Nah, because that's just a loser's mentality. You always have to be like, all right, cool, this happened, our best player got injured. All right, cool, how do we work around this? Do we have to, obviously your coach is going to be doing this, but you as players as well, you have to have that mindset of like, all right, cool, our best player is injured. All right, cool, switching system. All right, what are our individual roles? What do we have to do differently now that our best player is injured? Or what do we have to do differently, like I said, if the weather's bad, or anything, to be honest, any external factor that happens. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you've had some poor performances. Maybe you've had a poor run of 5 games, and your coach drops you. When you're sitting on that bench, what are you thinking? Are you thinking, I'm on the bench now, there's nothing I can do, it's just going to be like this forever? Are you going to come into training with a bad attitude? It's like, nah. Like, what is in your control in that situation is how you respond to getting dropped. So like I said, if you get dropped, so make sure you're there early to training. Make sure you're putting in the effort in training. Make sure you're try win everything. Make sure, from rondos to the passing drills to the small-sided games, make sure you're winning the small-sided games. Make sure you're the best player. Make sure if you're doing rondos at the start, that you're never in the middle for a rondo. Just make sure in training you're showing your coach all the time that that you want to start. Maybe you go there half an hour early. You bring a football with you, get your touches in. Stay back half an hour, however long you want to stay. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what is in your control. You can only control your effort and how you respond to getting dropped. You getting dropped, that's the coach's decision. You can't do anything about it. If he decides to drop you, he decides to drop you. But what is in your control is you putting in that work in training, and then when you actually get, your 10 minutes, your 20 minutes in the match, you make sure you're making an impact so that you can actually control your coach's decision and show him that, I need to be starting, I need to be in the starting 11s. And the thing is as well, when you have this mindset, when you go through enough of these, bad things that happen, and you just constantly just find solutions for them, you get to that point of, there might be a bad thing that happens, but then you're just calm about it. You're not worried, you're not pressured. You don't feel, you don't feel that there's literally nothing you can do. You literally don't really feel the pressure anymore. You don't feel, if something, like I said, if something bad happens, you're just like, all right, cool, we'll find a solution. That's what builds, the resilience and the confidence. Have you ever seen, a great team? Let's say Man City, when they at their best, when they go 2-0 down, you never see any of the players really panicking. You never see, them start arguing with each other, shouting at each other, because it got to a certain point where it was like, they've been there so many times, challenging for Premier Leagues, getting to the later rounds of the Champions League. They've been there so many times to the point where it's like, all right, cool, we've been here before, we know what to do. Think about the time where they were 2-0 down to Aston Villa. They were 2-0 down at halftime, they got through that. So what do you think happens the next season when they're 8 points behind Arsenal in the title race? Or they're 5 points behind Liverpool and Arsenal in the title race the season after that? They're not worried, they're not panicking, they're thinking, we've been here before. Like, they have so much experience to go off the back of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember Liverpool the first time, I'm pretty sure it was January, they were 7 points behind Liverpool. They caught them and won the league. Then, I think that was in 2019. Then 2022 came about. Again, they were probably like 7 or 8 points behind Liverpool again. They clawed their way back, won the title on the last day. They were 2-0 down to Villa and they came back. So obviously the next season went in 22-23. The next season when they're in a title race with Arsenal were like, what, 8 or 9 points clear. Do you think they were panicking? They were like, we've been here before, we know what to do. The experienced guys like KDB, Gundogan, all these guys, John Stones, all these guys who have been there, Foden as well. All them guys who have been there for all those other title races, they were like, 8 points is nothing, man. Just keep winning games. And eventually what happened? They caught Arsenal again. 23-24 happened again. Like, it just gets to a point where it's like, once you've gone through enough of those bad moments that you think, this happened, that happened. Man City, they probably suffered injuries throughout that time as well. KDB got injured here. Someone else got injured here. You just have Rodri maybe missed a few games here. You have to adapt. Like, they just said to themselves, we know what this is about, we're behind in the title race. A few of our key players have got injured. We just have to adapt. People have to step up. And it gets to a point now, once you go through enough of those bad moments, eventually you get to that stage where you're just like, nothing really phases me. You build that resilient. Nothing really phases you as a team, as an individual player especially. It's like, if you're an individual player and you've been through already 2 long-term injuries, if you get that third long-term injury, it's frustrating because you want to be out on that pitch, but the rehab, you know what you have to do. Like I said, it's going to be frustrating, but you've already sort of been through that process. You've been through that process of, the long days of not being able to play football, the challenge mentally of, staying engaged with the rehab. Like, you've been through all of that. You know what to do. So, you step onto that pitch and you're not sort of worried about getting injured again. Whereas someone going through, rehab for the first time, they've never really been through it. So it's like, they're having thoughts of like, why am I injured? Why do I have to do this rehab? This rehab's long. People are getting ahead of me. They're having all these, negative thoughts in their mind. But once you go through these bad moments a few times, you just build that resilience, and you're just like, you just sort of have that mindset of like, it is what it is. Just have to get through it. And the thing is, you have confidence you get through it as well. It's just like, I know I'll get through this. It's frustrating. I hate it, but just have to get through it. I just have to, find a solution to the problem, and I'll be okay. So that's the mindset you want. That's the mindset you want to have that's the mindset you're going to develop once you go through enough of these bad moments, and you have sort of the mindset of, what are the solutions? How can I fix this? Instead of having, the negative mindset of, there's nothing I can do anymore. It is what it is. Blah blah blah. Woe is me. That sort of mentality. Like, no one likes that negative mentality. So that's what I've got to say for this vid. I hope you enjoyed. I've been JT, and I'm out.